Hey, today on the show, I woke up, rolled over, threw my sunglasses on, put my robe on, and said, hey, here's how I'm going to plan my day. Today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. And a guy took $20, turned it into a few $1 million. Yeah, Brian Clayton's here as well. Coming up in the lab. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where
when something negative comes up,
do the muscle improve, do our flow.
Nobody is expecting God.
if the lady's saying that, you're just
Being as a super
Be entertained by fun over here.
How have I slept? Has my sleep been good? That's
Yeah, there we go, nation. I'm singing to you this morning. What's going on? Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm your host. I'm Keith Billis. We're joining us today, Jimmy, Walter, Johnny, Marty. We got Jory Jansen joining us for the protein break, and we got Brian Clayton joining us here on the show. A former Live in the Lab guest, took $20, turned it into millions cutting grass. We're going to dig into Mark Cuban's morning routine. We got some hobbies that might help you live longer. And of course, we'll talk about how to plan your day, how I plan my day for success. Community Core, we got David Landis joining us this morning in the lab. And of course, we got all of you hanging out this morning, nation. Listen, this is an R-rated experience. So if you got kids in the room, I would invite them to put the headphones on. Maybe you want to put the hat on, or maybe you just want to put some earplugs in or some cotton batting, or what's the list? This. Just remove the kids from the room. That's what you might want to do. Or you might be introducing them to a bunch of bad words. Yeah, true story. So, Jimmy, Tommy, let's bring in Mr. Johnny into the lab here this morning. What's going on, Johnny?
what's happening, brother?
How are you, brother? You got the black on black, the fuck no excuses, or excuses. You got the red painter's beret hat on, not the painter's hat. I miscommunicated that last time there. Cheers to the cup of coffee. What are you brewing today there, brother? What do you got on the barrel?
This is some sort of a Starbucks deal. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. There you go.
It's Terry buys these big bags of whole beans, and then I just fill up with all the machines we have grind on the spot.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
so I fill them up, and based on the time I fill up all the machines, the bag's gone. So I don't remember what the bag looks like. I just remember it was a Starbucks bag.
We're the same way, man. We take those big beans, put them in the old coffee machine, and let it all grind it up. And I love brewing my coffee right on the spot. I thoroughly enjoy it.
It tastes so much better when the bean is ground right now.
Yes. I was telling you before, man, a lot of effort goes into making coffee. We all just, because we drink so much of it, Johnny, I swear we all just take it for granted. We're quick to just pour it down we're quick to pour it down the drain. We're quick to leave half a cup empty. But when you look at the labor involved to making a cup of coffee, it ain't cheap, brother. Not cheap at all.
Well, and that, it's kind of crazy. I can't remember the name of the guest, but we had a guest on that was telling us about how lots of coffees are actually filled with mold and all sorts of crazy shit.
Yeah, it's true. And then there's that premium coffee where monkeys. Is it monkeys? Yeah, monkeys. Yeah, in Tanzania, monkeys eat
and crap them out.
Yeah, and you go pick the beans out of the shit. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's a committed coffee drink.
That's a committed coffee connoisseur. How was the day in Johnny's Loop yesterday, brother?
It was good, man. It's what it comes down to is you get to a certain point in life where you get to do what you want to do a lot more than what you have to do or need to do.
Yes.
And part of the magic to that is when you start to really find the enjoyment of the things that need to be done.
Oh yeah.
Because if you think about wants and needs, most people think wants are not going to really set them apart from the pack. Needs will. Well, so the true magic is when you can turn your needs into wants. When I want to do X, Y, Z early in the morning.
Yeah,
that's when the rules of the game change.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm wanting 4 a.m. to come. Like I'm wanting to get down in the lab here with you guys in the show here. And it's and obviously it's the reason I started this whole thing because I wanted to do this. But yeah, it's a game changer when you turn those needs into wants and you can recognize that, right? So speaking of this morning, dude, we got a guy joining us this morning, Brian Clayton. I met him live in the lab, kind of around the same time frame I met you, Johnny. The guy turned $20 and one lawnmower into multi-million-dollar business.
Nice.
No excuses, like no excuses at all, right? And then there's
God damn it! I got to hit the fan real quick.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here.
Johnny's setting off the fire alarm in the house there this morning, as we know Johnny likes to suck back on the cigars. That's the reason I don't puff on the cannabis here in the house. No, I puff on the cannabis out there in the garage. Yeah, or outside. Although outside, man, it's fucking minus 4,000 degrees right now. Hey, and everybody over here on the screen right here, you guys are behind the scenes Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. If you go over to that channel, there's a lean back experience, which is like watching television. If you go over to that channel, that's the full experience. So right now you got 3 different ways you can enjoy myself and Johnny. You get a lean back experience, lean back and hang out, or you can watch us on the vertical experience. We got all 3 of them over there. So I invite you guys to hang out with us for the show and subscribe to the channel as we make our way up the journey. Hey, what do you going on this weekend there, brother? The weekend loop. What's going on for you?
So this is actually going to be a Christmas-oriented weekend because,
nice. Yeah,
yeah, we were going to actually have some of our daughters were going to come and help with putting up the tree because largely Terry's, she's still banged up. Her right shoulder is still pretty messed up from her motorcycle crash, her dirt bike crash. So basically, I'll be honest, I can't say that I like setting up the tree, but it looks like that's going to be me. I'm happy to buy the son of a bitch. I'm happy to do whatever it takes, and I enjoy the process when I'm not fucking driving the ship.
It's certainly not I don't think it's certainly much. Well, I don't know. We should. That's probably a great topic for conversation here. Is who does the tree? I know. Lauren does the tree here with the gang here. It's not my. I haul the tree up, Johnny, and then Lauren puts it up, and then I haul the tree down. That's my
dude, and that's the way it used to be for me too. And see, it was when I bought this fucking 12-foot tree, it was a much better deal when I didn't have to put it up.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Right. This year, I'm wishing we had a 6-foot tree.
What's shaking, Marty? Marty, good to see you, brother.
What's up, man? What we talking about, man? Christmas trees?
We're talking Christmas trees. Yeah.
What kind of shit is that, man? No, I'm playing.
You a Christmas tree up, Marty?
At my mom's house. No,
I was wondering. So not at you. So Johnny Martin. So Marty does not. So Marty's a solo liver. He's a solo liver and a solo giver. No Christmas tree in the Christopher Martin house, eh?
No, I was the same way, brother. I was the same way.
Yeah,
it's like it's about the kids.
Yeah.
When I get a family, I'll be the first one to put the tree up. But
if the chicks coming over to Marty's house are young enough to get all whacked out about the Christmas tree, then we got a problem. I know that's not the way those girls are. They're old enough not to give a shit about the tree when they come in.
Yeah, that's it.
I've had people suggest that I put a tree up, and I refused.
Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, no, I'm not doing no tree. No way. Hey, Marty, we got to do it in the green room here. Brian Clayton, who joined me on Live and Live back when I met you and Johnny back in the early days of me getting into this in front of the camera streaming career that pays me no money. And Brian took $20, Marty. $20 turned it into a multi-million-dollar landscaping business.
Oh yeah, I think you told me about this guy.
Yes, this dude's awesome, man. So anybody I meet in landscaping business, I'm like, you got to go follow Brian Clayton's story. So Brian's joining us here in a few minutes to talk about that, and we're going to catch up with Brian here during center stage. But
is this a dude? We just had a dude about landscaping. This is a different dude.
This is a different dude, man. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that picture did not resonate with
the dude that was on the previous show. So listen to Clayton because that might help the other guy, get to Clayton's level. Maybe I'm thinking, right? That was Jacob Hong, not knocking your brother. No, I'm sure Jacob has an awesome landscape business as well. We can lean into as well. But hey, Walter, Jimmy, let's throw that Cuban slide up there that we talked about last night. I found a quick little story here, boys. Mark Cuban revealed his morning routine. I thought we could throw that up on the screen and talk about that for a quick couple minutes before Clayton joins us on the show here. Here, so I see it on the horizontal, boys, but I don't see it on the vertical. So I got to get you guys up on the vertical as well. There we go. So Cuban starts his day pretty early, And he's a big fan. So you guys know when he sold his business that the most important thing he looked forward to getting was an airplane, only so that he can acquire time.
Buying back time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the thing we don't have, right? So Cuban gets up.
I think he started flying the Mavericks on that plane too when he first acquired the Mavericks.
That's it. Speaking of that, actually, so you guys know Bruce Springsteen showed up here in Winnipeg a few weeks ago for his concert. He actually flew in for the concert that day and flew home. Could you imagine waking up, having breakfast at your house? Hey, Marty, I'm heading out to the airport. Oh, what are you doing tonight, Billis? Oh, I'm just flying into Winnipeg to do a concert. I'll see you tonight for dinner. Right, just flies in, does his show, comes up for fucking 3 hours, gets on the airplane and flies back home.
Well, it's getting cheaper and cheaper because private air is becoming so popular.
Yeah.
So obviously there's all sorts of ways you can charter jets now that are cheaper, and then obviously the whole aviation industry is growing. Pretty soon they're going to be making kind of the Hyundai version of a jet so that more people can get into the private flying.
That's it. Marty,
nice. I was going to say, I don't know if you know who Ed Milet is.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah. He's
got a whole bunch of planes.
Yeah, he's in SoCal. He says sometimes he just gets his jet, flies him and his wife to Phoenix for dinner, and then they fly back home.
Yeah. Well, so my goal is I work so I can buy an airplane. I want to buy an airplane too, only so I can buy time. So I can fly with my dogs. It's as simple as that. My motivation is really simple, Johnny. I want to fly with my dogs. I don't like not having my dogs around me. So if I can go travel around the world and take my dogs with me, I'm a happy mofo, brother. Like, I just want to go places and hang out with my dogs. That's it. Simple. There's nothing more complicated than that.
They're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Their ears going to be popping.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what is going on?
So that's like my motivation. If I can get enough cash to buy an airplane, then I can go, and not just a Cessna, I can go fly around with my dogs. That's the plan.
Yeah.
So, so we got Cuban up there. He gets up at 6 a.m. He does the daily tech between and he's proud of the fact that he spends up to 10 hours a day on his phone, 8 to 10 hours a day, and not proud, but he's like, yeah, screen shouldn't be on a screen. Look, man, if your job is being on a screen, be on a screen. Too much society is all about, no.
But hold on. We got to understand, Cuban, that 8 to 10 hours does not fucking include scrolling. He's bragging about kicking ass on his screen.
Yeah.
Not fucking wasting time on the screen, which most people, when you say screen time, they think, God, look at the time I wasted.
Oh, I think he likes having some fun on X there with Elon there. So I think Cuban does like to scroll and throw some nuggets.
They're actually pretty entertaining.
It's pretty fun there, actually. But yeah, he gets up.
I don't see him going on hours of mindless scrolling.
Oh shit, no, he's out there.
That's what I'm saying. He's kicking ass, man. So when we just have to define screen time. A lot of times people hear that like, oh, Mark Cuban has screen time. I guess I can sit on the toilet for 2 hours and scroll till my legs are fucking asleep. No, he's kicking. He's making more in that 8 to 10 hours than most people make in a fucking year.
So there you go. So if you're gonna there's advice from Anderson: be on your phone, scroll for productivity. But the other thing that Cuban talks about is he's all about brief communication. Like, don't send me a paragraph. Like, get my hook in the subject line, get my hook in one sentence or less, and that's it. Yeah. Right? And there's too many of us write emails that are all about us. Right. I want to get all my words out for Marty because I need to get all my words out to Marty. No, what's the fucking point? What do you want, Marty? I want to buy your product. Okay, great. Tell me. Like, I don't need a story. I don't need. Oh, hope you're well. I hope things are well, Mark. How are the Mavericks doing? No, I want to invest in your business. Right. Just get to the fucking point. Right. So that's what
I can't stand word salad.
Yes. Lots of that happening, and let's keep that Prezo going there, Tommy. We got he does a daily engagement from 8 to 10 hours here and so forth. So there's he does 1 hour of emails a day here. So okay, Tommy, let's get that off. Let's keep the show rocking and rolling here. We're gonna bring Brian Clayton here in a quick second here. I see strategic veteran Adam Peters. What's going on, brother? I'm on a quest to buy the Cirrus Vision jet. Yes, that would be something I would be, or a Gulfstream, like a G7 or something. Or speaking of boys. Speaking of wealth, man, Sergey Brin, one of the founders of Google, his yacht was launched this last week. This $500 million yacht. Dude, I'm gonna bring it on the show next week. Just to bring it. I'll bring some pictures on the show to show you guys. It's quite a exceptional piece of hardware. That's when you have all the money in the world, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy myself a nice yacht, right?
Man. Sheesh.
Marty, what do I got going this weekend? You told me yesterday you're pretty quiet, eh? You got some Christmas parties?
Yeah, we got the Christmas party, and a birthday party too. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty busy this weekend. Hopefully, I'm gonna get some rest too. You know,
Nice.
and get some content. You know,
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah, content. Always got to get content, baby.
always got to get content.
That's it. All right, well, let's keep this rock and roll show going here.
I'm walking content, Johnny.
You're walking content. It's like when Johnny's in the golf course. He's walking content on the golf course. All right, coming up, Brian Clayton in less than a minute. We're going to get Brian ready up there in the green room. I see Brian in the horizontal stream, the vertical stream. And to those of you behind the scenes, we got the two channels going on here. We got the horizontal lean back experience. We got the full vertical on the go experience. This is the part of the show where we're always talking about accountability. Yep. Hey, on Monday, the 200th show of Mornings and Live with Keith and Friends. You know, I'm the only guy on the LinkedIn platform going live for over a year. I haven't missed today. True fucking story. Every single day I've been streaming live on the platform. You will find somebody else on that platform like myself. There is not one. All right, so let's talk about this. Who decided chasing money is bad? Yeah, I don't know. Who is it? If your goal is to make a ton of money, that's okay. We live in a world where ambition, it seems to be shamed. It's like, you shouldn't make money. You should have a environmental concern. No, fuck, man. If you want wealth, go make cash. It's like, making money seems to be shallow. But wanting freedom, or is that impact? Or is it noble? Here's the truth. No one has the right to tell you what your goals should be. Now, if your goal is making cash, go make cash. Money is not just dollars. No, money buys power. Money buys freedom. Money delivers opportunity. It's the key to building the life you want, or it's the key to buying the robe you want. Yeah, and let's not pretend other goals, they're free. Like this morning show, every single day, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only free accountability partner that shows up for you. So if you're not showing up, it's not my fault. I'll be here every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time with John Anderson, see Marty Fit. So this is free. If you want to go make some cash, well, freedom costs money. Impact costs money. Legacy costs money. So here's the thing, nation. The problem isn't chasing money. No, it's letting other people shame you for it. If wealth is your goal, own it proudly and loudly, because the only thing worse than being judged for wanting more is being ashamed to want it because of what others say. So what's the goal that you refuse to apologize for? Tell me. Leave it in the comments. And oh, by the way, subscribe to the channel. The only show to help you guys get your ass out of bed and hit those big goals. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. All right, boys, before we bring up Brian, we got that gamma. Let's bring the gamma up here and let's do a little bit of a intro to Brian Clayton here. We're going to do a visual aid here, boys. Let's bring it up here, Walter. Let's bring it up here on the screen here. We got somebody who joined me here a number of months ago. Brian Clayton. He's let's just see here. Let's go, Tommy, to the top here. So there you go. Awesome. Right to the top there, Tommy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So Brian Clayton, an innovator in lawn care technology. And that is not Brian. No, that is the more handsome. That's the more handsome looking version of Brian, the AI generated version of Brian. So boys, on my team, we're going to want to do a better job of building the airplane as we fly, because we might want to not mistake humans with other humans on the front of this imagery here. So, all right, Brian comes from Green Pal, revolutionizing lawn care. He's got an online marketplace and so forth. We can speed it up here, Tommy. He's got some platforms, seamless payments. All right, Tommy, let's roll it off the screen. Let's bring in Brian Clayton here in the lab here this morning, guys. Let's do that here. All right, there's Brian. Let's shake it, Mr. Clayton.
What is up, guys? How are you?
Hey, it's been a long time, man. I saw you. Was it about a year ago? I'm thinking I'll give or take or so. And I thought I'd have you back here for a catch up. Meet my new co-hosts on the show here this morning.
Fantastic, man. Great energy as always.
Yes. So how?
I'm not new, Keith. I'm not new, man. I'm not new.
No, Marty's not new. No, Marty's been around since like day half of one here. So Johnny is the new boy here on the lab here, Clayton. But
that's the new guy over there. Yeah.
I'm the Messiah. I'm the savior. I'm the one that comes in and cleans this son of a bitch out. You know?
That's it. Good morning, good morning, Unfaved Mateo. I see you there. Good to see you here in the lab this morning. Hey, before we get into our conversation with Brian Clayton, I invite you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, tell all your friends about the only morning show to get your ass out of bed. Mr. Clayton, before we get our big chat going here, we got the big question we do here on Center Stage for everybody, which is this. What is your morning routine, Brian?
Oh man, that's a great question. Well, first off, thanks for upgrading me with that AI headshot. Man, I mean,
I figured you'd like that. Yeah,
I mean, dude's handsome. That's all I can say.
that's it.
So my morning routine. My default is lazy. I will sleep in till 9:45.
Whoa!
Every day, and that was like, you're talking about what drives you, what motivates you. You got to be focused on success and winning and money. And for me, for the longest time, I wanted to be able to just wake up whenever I wanted to and not have to be at an office or be reporting to a place I had to be at. So that was like my goal, and I achieved that. And after I sold my first landscaping business, I started just waking up whenever. I would wake up at like 10 a.m. some days, and that got like old after a while. And so I had to force that into my life again. And so
that's like eating birthday cake every day. It's like,
yeah.
I've had enough of this shit,
Yeah, exactly. And so I hired a boxing coach online. And so every morning, 7 a.m., he trains me for an hour, shadow boxing and stuff like that. So every single morning, 6 days a week, I will get up at 7 a.m., do an hour of exercise, of cardio, and that gets my blood pumping, gets my mojo humming. And then after that, I'll do 2 or 3 hours of good deep work. And then after that, I'll go to the gym, hit some weights. And then after that, just do whatever I want. So that's my daily routine. And it's taken me 23 years to get to that. The daily routine looks a lot different today than it did a decade ago, but that's what I like to do every day.
As it should continue to evolve. If you got the same thing going today that you did 10 years ago, you haven't grown much.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. You as a person, your lifestyle should evolve, your knowledge, your wisdom, the things you're working on should evolve. If not, you're not pushing it hard enough.
I mean, I didn't even know how to do some of the shit 10 years ago that I'm doing right now in my morning routine. I just didn't know how.
Totally. And that's one sign that I think if you're doing a business right or you're doing a project right, you should be a totally different person every 2 or 3 years. That's one of the fun things about it is like you grow alongside the levels of the game. That was one thing I noticed in my first business. And now with running Green Pal, I look at myself 5-10 years ago and it's like, I'm just a totally different person. And I don't think you get that by working a job somewhere. I don't think you get that by sitting in a cubicle somewhere. I think if you're in the trenches, trying to build a project or a business from scratch, it requires you to evolve and level up, every year or two.
Yeah, oh, brother. Oh yeah. I can't agree with you more. Talking my language, brother.
Brian, in a nutshell, I'd like you to take 2 minutes or less. Tell Marty and Johnny your story. I set it up from off screen here. You took on your first business, you took $20. I'm oversimplifying, of course, but you took $20. You took a lawnmower and you turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. You sold it. And you did it again. Tell Marty and Johnny the story. Tell Business Athlete Nation your story to set up Brian Clayton.
Yeah, so I'd like to tell you I was a born entrepreneur, but the fact is my dad got tired of watching me play Nintendo all day when I was about 15 years old. And he talked to the neighbor and they needed somebody to mow their yard. And I'll never forget, I was playing Super Mario Kart. He said, "Hey, get off your ass. I got a gig for you. You're mowing the neighbor's yard." And I said, I don't mow grass. He says, "Well, you do now." And he dragged me to the neighbor's house and he helped me. We mowed the yard. I got paid $20 for like an hour and a half of work. And in 1995, that was really good money. And something just clicked in me. I thought, man, this is awesome. Now I don't have to wear like the crappy shoes to school. I can go buy the Jordans if I can get 5 more of these. And it just clicked in me that I could work as hard as I wanted to get the things I wanted. And I went to my old school desktop computer and made some flyers, started passing them out around the neighborhood, and got maybe 4 or 5 customers. And I never looked back. I just kept growing that little lawn mowing business all through high school and then all through college. Eventually, over like a 15-year period of time, grew it to around 150 people, around 8 figures in sales. And then in 2013, it was purchased by a big national company, $1 billion company that was buying and rolling up these individual businesses. And so it started with just me and a push mower and working kind of like a video game, working at one level at a time, built it into a real company. and got it sold. And then after that, I took everything I learned about that business, and I tried to retire, but I got bored and I needed another project. So I had this idea that an app should exist like Uber, but for lawn mowing services. And so recruited 2 co-founders, started building what my business is today, GreenPal, which is the app that works like Uber for lawn care, which is now $30 million a year business nationwide in the United States, around 300,000.
Right? Like, come on, boys. That's some pretty awesome work there. Brian, how did you find your co-founders? Did you go looking for them like on a Tinder type experience? Did you know some guys, or how did you find those 2 co-founders? You said you went and recruited 2 co-founders. How did you find them, Brian?
That's a really, really good question. Ideally, you when you want to start a tech product like this or any other kind of product, you want like complementary skills. And so you kind of want like a hacker and a hustler. So you get somebody that knows the business side, and you get somebody that knows the tech side, and they come together. That's like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, I didn't know any hackers. I had never built a website, so I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just told 2 friends about it, and they said, "Look, I'll quit my job tomorrow and start that with you." And so that was how I found my co-founders. But we were 3 hustlers. None of us knew the tech, and so we had to become hackers. We had to learn how to build software through YouTube University, online classes, Coursera, things like that. And it took a long time. So we kind of made ourselves the hacker aspect of it. But ideally, you recruit somebody that complements your skills. I just got extremely lucky that I found 2 other guys that had a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
They wanted more out of life than they were getting at their current job. And they were willing to do whatever it took to be successful. And so I think
found a way to develop those skills, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that burn the boat mentality. I love hearing that. Hey, you're hanging out with Brian Clayton, myself, Keith Billis, John Anderson, and C. Marty Fit. Hey, Brian, I know we had you booked in for 13 here today. We're coming over to the bottom of this 13 minutes. Are you able to stick around for the next segment, the next 13 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Let's do awesome. So listen, let's keep the conversation going before we drop off at C. Marty Fit. Brian, you said something which strikes me, and you said that
real quick. I just want to add in. I'm getting goosebumps from the story, Brian. I love it.
Right?
Go ahead.
Goosebumps, man. So I got a bunch of kind of things going on in my head here. So I'm going to leave the dopamine one aside and stay with the founders, and then we'll do the C. Marty Fit and come back to the dopamine question. The founders, you said we all were just hustlers. We didn't know how to do this. What your story clearly articulates, I think, like mine, like Johnny's, and like Marty's, Brian. You know, really a complimentary business athlete here, is the power of showing up. Like, okay, guys, we're showing up here on Monday. We don't know how to build this. Let's fucking get into YouTube or Coursera. Let's figure this out, right? And then you showed up for days and weeks on end, and then you got results. And I think there's a learning in that, because often when we don't know how to do something, we try, and then often we give up. And you guys chose not to give up. You just chose to show up continuously, and the results happened. Talk about the power of just showing up, even in some ways, Brian, aimlessly and blindlessly in some ways, right?
Yeah, it's a couple of things that helped me get through that. So first thing we did was we made really, really small goals and just focused everything we could to achieve those small goals. And then when we knocked them down, we celebrated them like they were big goals. So our first goal was 100 people to use this piece of shit app that we built. And I thought that would take 3 months. It took 2 years. But we just kept focusing on nothing other than 100 people to use it in a week. And when we celebrated that, when we accomplished that in year 2, we celebrated like it was 1 million, because I knew if I could get to 100, I'd get to 1,000. I knew if I get to 1,000, I'd get to 10. I knew 10 would be 100,000 eventually. And so that's how we kind of like changed our perspective and hacked the psychology of those first few years, which were really hard. The other thing is a lot of times, you know, growing up at school and going to college and like the traditional way that we kind of come up, we get these labels, we get these titles. And so therefore we think that, okay, well, I'm not a designer, so I can't design a product. Or I'm not an engineer, so I can't build a product. Or I'm not a copywriter, so I'm not qualified to write the copy on the website.
Yeah.
And I think if you're like trying to hustle together a business from scratch, Like you got to throw all that out the window. You've got to be like half-ass good at about 20 different things.
Yes.
These days, you can learn the 80-20 of anything if you're willing to just like put in the time on YouTube University and online courses and things like that. You can become dangerously good where you can do it yourself for a while and then build out a team around you of freelancers and employees and contractors, which is what we did. So kind of like, you know, even though I never built a website, I had never coded before. It took me a while to like just to suck it up and not believe my own bullshit and say, okay, you can learn how to do this stuff. Okay, quit fooling yourself. I know you hate it. I know it sucks, but just lay in there and just build a shitty website and then apply that to what it is you're trying to do. That's kind of how we got through it. Small goals, and then not believing our own bullshit, believing that we could do anything we needed to do, and that if we were sufficiently motivated enough to learn how to do it.
The power of 100 people. And I remember that story when we first talked, because as we're building the show, because I say to myself, if there's 100 people that like our product, Brian, there's 1,000. If there's 1,000, there's 1,000,000. And you said it yourself, right? You're like, okay, we're going to find 100 people. And I love that you said it like, yeah, we'll do it in 3 months. Time as we get older, Brian, goes so fast, right? Like, holy shit, it took us 2 years to get there, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And the 100 people thing is important. One, because it's small enough that you can like get there, but also it's real. I heard a quote the other day that it's easy to hide behind changing the world. And so what the guy meant by that, I think it might have been Tim Ferriss who said it. It's easy to hide behind changing the world. And so he means that like a goal so big that you can make no progress on.
Yes.
And you can't inch your way towards it. You can hide behind that and waste years trying to achieve this goal. But you can't hide behind, I'm going to get 5 credit cards by the end of the month for this terrible service that I have. And I'm going to get 5 people to use this thing in real life. And I'm going to get the feedback. I'm going to turn that 5 into 10.
Yeah.
You can't hide behind that. And so I think if you can make those little small goals that are real and attainable and just knock them down and then double those numbers, 5 years, 10 years later, you wake up in a different reality.
Awesome. Hey, we're hanging out with Brian Clayton here at Mornings and Live with Keith and Friends. We got the See Marty Fit Tip coming up here, and we're going to come back with Brian in about a minute or so. We're going to get into, I got an important conversation coming up here. I want to talk about dopamine. I want to talk about sales. I want to talk about the hits that we get when we sell and how that maybe plays into perhaps bad habits that we battle with as entrepreneurs. There's a tease for you guys. Marty, you're up for this fit tip of the day. Johnny's going for a break. I'm going to take a break. Brian, hang around for a minute. We're back in a minute. Let's do it, Marty.
Let's get it, man. All right, we got the fitness tip for today, man. And this is just super practical. All right. Stop beating yourself up when you make a mistake. I think a lot of people do this and it throws off their fitness goals, right? So what kind of mistakes we talking about? We talking about you missed a workout because you didn't set your alarm. Like, we're human. It's okay. You can make the workout up at night or just get back to it tomorrow, right? Don't beat yourself up and don't quit your fitness journey because you messed up. It's part of the game. The fit people you want to be like, they mess up, right? You miss a meal. You forgot to cook. You left your lunch at home. It's okay. Just get back on track as soon as possible. And let's think about it. We sit here and watch our favorite athletes. I can't tell you how many basketball games I watch and I see awful basketball. I see turnovers. I see people throwing the ball out of bounds. I see people missing layups. The same in football. I watch the Commanders. They have so many sloppy games. And even in boxing, Gervonta Davis, who's killing the boxing world right now, look at his last 2 fights. Ryan Garcia and Frank Martin were tagging him. All right? We all make mistakes. It's just part of the game. Even at work, I'm sure you're killing it, but you probably make mistakes there. And I'm sure Brian Clayton made plenty of mistakes building his business. And we see Keith every day. We know Keith Billis made a whole bunch of mistakes. And we know John Anderson made a whole bunch of mistakes. I'm the only one who doesn't make mistakes. No, I'm playing. But, again, it's just part of the game. All right? You got to have some tough skin, and you got to be positive. Keep it pushing. Get back on track. That's the fitness tip for today.
That's the fit tip of the day with the mistake-free See Marty Fit.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfection. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brian, you said something which popped kind of something in my head, which I wanted to lean into, which was, going from an entrepreneur, taking that $20 and getting a lawnmower and making money. And I know in my journey, I'm gonna, perhaps be a little vulnerable here. I know in my journey through life, and we talked about the fact I love making money. There's something that happens when you close a customer or you convince somebody to buy from you. In many ways, I'm convinced that making money has had a lot to do with my challenges with some addictions that I have, because it's the dopamine hits. So as an entrepreneur, it's like, oh yeah, fuck, I sold that guy. Boom, dopamine, made some cash. Oh, I sold that guy. Boom, made some cash. And I'm going to tell you, in some ways, what you said maybe struck me, because maybe my entrepreneurial journey has contributed, like other men out there who struggle with some addictions we have, because it's that balance of, I want to go make some cash, but when I make that cash, it also can cause me some grief. You see what I'm saying, Brian? Let's talk about the grief that comes with, oh, I see you smile. I see. Because listen, I struggle. I have addictions. Damn rights I do. I battle them every single fucking day. And it relates to much of it, that dopamine hit when I'm making money. Let's talk about it, boys.
Yeah. I think that if you can rewire your brain for whatever it is you're addicted to be addicted to the success and addicted to the progress of whatever it is you're working on, and seeing that grow. I think it can it's kind of like Super Mario Kart back in the day when you hit the star and like you were just running around just like you were unstoppable. I think if you can rewire your brain to rechannel that addiction to seeing your business grow, seeing your employees show up in new cars, seeing your people that work with you on the project living better lifestyles than they did when they first started with you. Seeing, like in my first company, we had like 90 trucks going out every day. And I took pride in those things being clean. And I almost like looked at it kind of like Monopoly in a way, that I was just like building this empire all over town. And I'm sure nobody cared about it but me and my people. But like that got to be addictive.
Yes.
To be honest with you, in the early years, it was all about, let's get this money. Let's buy some flashy clothes, and let's buy some flashy jewelry and cars and houses and things like that. And I did all that, and I had to learn that it's like they all say that doesn't bring you happiness. It doesn't, but you have to go do that first to learn that. But I learned that the hard way, and then I started to understand that this isn't about necessarily those things. It's about growing the business and creating opportunities for the people that work with me on the business, and seeing them come up. That was a lot more fun than any car I ever bought or any house I ever built. So getting addicted to that success and that progress, I think, can help you play the game on easy mode. It's when I've been kind of addicted to those lower level ways of thinking and lower level levels of success that the business never went anywhere. And so it's a weird thing. Like, you have to be focused on the profit. You have to be focused on the cash flow, because that's the engine of success for the business. Yes. And that's like the scorecard. And that's how the marketplace votes. The marketplace votes on if you're bringing value to the marketplace or not with their cash. And so you have to like be relentlessly focused on that. But you also have to kind of tap into something a little deeper as to why we're doing what we're doing and why it matters. And if you don't, you may run out of steam. And I've kind of been on the highs and lows of that myself in the last 22 years. I know what you're saying. And the way I would approach it is, you got to figure out like, what is the higher meaning of what it is we're doing. And then the cash flow is the scorecard of how we're getting it.
And that's exactly it. It's the numbers is like it's just a barometer, but it's a very fucking addictive barometer. I mean, when I became successful and I started realizing, holy shit, I'm making in a month what most people that have a good job make in a year. It was like all I wanted to do was do it again. Yep. And it was like, holy Christ. And then, just like you said, you go through that phase of buying all your shit. Yeah. And then you start to realize that, this shit is only fun for about a month, and you got to buy another one. You end up with more fucking cars than you could drive. The batteries are going dead and stupid shit like that. Then you realize, okay, he's like, fuck, man, you got to start a car, the battery's dead. It's been running 4 months. Fuck, But then you start to realize this is so shallow. It's like a stair climber that you're on, that you're going so fucking fast you can't let go of the rails. You know what I mean? And then you start to realize, wow, I'm changing the lives of people, which is great. But then look one step, for me, when I look one step closer, like I'm changing the lives of my team.
Yes.
And that dimension really fucking clicked for me. Like I've always been fucking GM changing lives of people. When I get emails from wives saying, we have a sex life again. He's doing the honeydew list. He engages with the kids. That's amazing. Yeah. But I don't have relationships with those people over a course of, a decade like I do with my team. I involve myself with them every day. And so to see their lives change it became an even deeper meaning. And what it did is it took that number and it just dumbed it down to the point where that number just represents how quickly we're moving towards changing their lives to the extent that I truly want. So I love what you're talking about, finding that meaning, and everybody's going to have their own meaning that kind of nullifies this addictive center we're talking about,
Totally. Do you think there's any way to skip any levels of that journey that you laid out? It sounds like you went through a very similar one that I did.
Yeah.
Is there any way to skip like the stupid part of pissing all the money away and buying all the flashy things and then realizing that was stupid, and then like coming back to something a little bit more like the next level of why it is we're doing what we're doing? I don't know if you can skip those levels. Maybe you can, because I hear this a lot over and over again, and it would be a lot easier if people could skip that step. But do you think people can?
Well, I know like everybody's individualized, of course. And when I was fucking dead broke, walking through grocery stores to feed myself, eating as I walked through the store, all I was doing was visualizing having the fucking money to go eat at whatever restaurant I want. I was visualizing having, all the shit that I physically didn't have became such a focus, and so for me, I think where the kind of the depths that I had to go through of being broke to get where I got too focused on the wrong shit. Now, maybe if that didn't happen, I might have had a very different perspective, but I don't know. I think it's so individualized. Maybe some people have that part that they can get past the physical, tangible things, and other people don't. I don't know. It's a great question, but I know for me, I pretty much followed the exact same path that you did, brother. Yeah. Obviously, my companies were not worth 30 million. My companies are not worth 30 million, but obviously a different level of success. When you hit that level of success, whatever it is, when you've done so much more than you ever think, it's fucking addictive.
Yeah.
I think, Brian, I don't think you can. I think Brian's like a video game. You can't get to the next level without failing Super Mario Bros. A number of times. You're going to have to not hit that jump 1,000 times before you hit the jump and succeed. And I that's why I brought the question up to you, because I remember the last time we had it and you told me a journey of you bought all the flashy stuff like I did. And then you woke up going, fuck, what's my purpose? You sold it all, restarted. Yeah. Right. And I think we do have to, and that's why I think we do have to achieve those things. That's why I brought up the question around addiction and so forth, because as we're doing our journey as entrepreneurs, what's the thing we like to do? Like to celebrate. Let's go make some cash and celebrate. And then we celebrate with food, we celebrate with drinks, we celebrate with activities that may put us on a path to a lifestyle we wake up to going, oh, fuck, I don't recognize myself when I started this whole thing. So for me, it's all about, maybe if you can talk to people like myself, Brian, Johnny, knowing that, yes, go and enjoy the cash, go and make as much as you can. Try to balance out the way up there as you're walking into the Tom Ford store and walking into the Cartier store and walking into the Lamborghini store and then walking back out. Try not to make the fall too far down, right, Brian? It's like, because you got to do it. I just think you have to do it.
And I think that carrot in front of you is sufficiently maybe enough motivation to get through level 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I'm hustling 7 days a week, 100-hour weeks. I'm cold calling 100 people a week. I'm pushing a rock up a mountain, trying to get this damn thing going and willing this thing into existence because I want to be able to stay in a 5-star resort in wherever, Turks and Caicos, And because I want to be able to buy the new watch and the car and go out to eat and not look at the menu of what the price is. And then that's like enough gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Get through those first three or four levels that just suck so bad. And then you get there and you achieve all that. And like John said, it lasts about a month.
Yep.
Maybe 6 if you're lucky. And then you kind of have to like recalibrate. It's like, okay, well, what does the next like level look like? And what is the next thing that's going to fuel me?
What's the next dopamine hit?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Marty, you gonna say something, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to add, that's why I made the fitness tip there, because I felt like we were going to go down that path.
Yes.
But Brian, if you could share like a time where you lost, like where you took an L and maybe you were devastated, maybe you could have quit, but you overcame that obstacle. Yeah,
well, I appreciate that, Marty, and I loved your fitness tip earlier. That a lot of times superpower looks like consistency, and just because you screwed up a day, you missed a day, or you had a bad day, like if you just fall back to the habit of showing up again the next day, and just being relentless about that, it can help you get through a lot of low points, and which I've had 2 or 3 really bad ones in the last 23, 24 years. And a couple of ways I got through them, specifically with building GreenPal, was I made a decision that no matter what I was doing, I was just going to work on my best idea. No matter how shitty it was going, no matter how much it wasn't working, no matter how things just weren't coming together, I was just going to work on my best idea for the next 10 or 20 years. And I guess, fortunately, I'm not terribly creative. I've had one good idea in the last 10 years, and that was you should be able to push a button and get this chore done. And as a lawn care service operator, you should have an app where you can just run your whole business. That was my idea. And the idea is the same now as it was a decade ago. And so for the first 3 or 4 years, it's like there were a lot of punches in the stomach. I just a lot of times was just falling back to, okay, well, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to work on this idea. I'm going to distill it down to the 1 or 2 things that are the bottlenecks. A lot of the bottleneck was me in the early days. I didn't know how to do the things we needed to do. So it was like I was working on myself to get through those bottlenecks. And it was just like every day it was a punch in the stomach. I mean, I remember one time my best friend, I had built this app and he had just bought a house. And I said, hey, man, you bought the house. Congratulations. That's awesome. Are you going to mow the grass? And he said, no, man, I'm too lazy to mow the grass. I said, sweet. I got 20 people using this fucking app I just built, and I need people to use it to tell me, where it sucks and what I need to fix on it. So we'll get you set up. He's like, man, actually I saw a kid mowing the yard next door and I'm just going to have him do it. I said, well, that's straight. We can get him on it too, because I need vendors on it too. So if you would help me get him on board. He said, man, I think I got it all taken care of, but I appreciate you wanting to help me with it. I was like, damn, man, wow. My best friend at the time, you learn is that, man, I mean, everybody always wants to say it's like, oh, you can't listen to the haters. You can't listen to people trying to hold you down. It's not that. It's literally nobody gives a shit about what you're working on. And the only people that are going to give a shit are the customers for whom you're solving a problem. And that's kind of the way the marketplace works. It's relentless with its feedback.
Brother, that is I just got to jump in real quick. On that level, I have learned to never ask friends and family to participate in my business dealings. If they come to me and they ask for help, I'm okay. That's a different deal. But that's a really losing proposition on so many levels, know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I learned that one the hard way.
Oh man.
All right, boys, we got to keep the show rolling here. We got Jory Jansen hanging out in the green room coming up with the protein break. Hey, Brian, will you come back and hang out with us again sometime?
I would love to, man. I love y'all's energy. I love the format. I love the show. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yes,
Brian, we need more stories, man.
We do.
Yeah,
brother, I'll be back.
Brother,
Invite me back. I'm always down.
You're a fucking rock star. Keep it up, brother.
Absolutely.
Hey, Key, give him the button, man.
Oh
You
yeah.
got my permission.
Okay. So, but Brian, you're going to get the button that
I don't. This is not approved. I don't
Give
approve
him the
this
button.
button.
We approve the button.
I'll take it.
They're going to give you a castrated fucking goat button.
Brian Clayton's getting the castrated goat button here this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Brian, when you come back, I promise to get a more bull.
He deserves a goat that's got a pair.
I'm telling you.
I love it.
I'm telling you, boys, when I met Clayton, you have certain guests that come across your world. Clayton was one of them because I really resonated with a lot of the things he said. He took his $20, turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. But I really resonated with a lot of the stories he told, his journey and his commitment to resilience and showing up along the way. Brian, you are welcome here any single day in the lab, an honorary business athlete, man. I invite you to tune into the show. We go live Monday to Friday. We're here helping men get up, not hit the snooze button, achieve some pretty audacious goals, and maybe combat some loneliness along the way here. That's our Mornings in the Lab show, Mr. Clayton.
Awesome. Well, Keith, Marty, John, thanks so much, guys. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. All right, Brian's going to get out of here, and we're going to bring Jory in. But before we do that, we've got the young man, Mr. Anderson, doing his lifestyle tip. We never know what he's going to say. Might just drop a cuss word along the way. Johnny, you're up, brother. Jory, you're next.
If you can do this, you're going to make progress so much faster than the average man. And what is this? This is honoring the word to yourself. Meaning when you say you're going to do something, you better do it. When you say you're not going to hit the snooze button, you're not going to hit it. When you say that you're going to do something difficult, you get it done. Well, how do we go about this? Of course, it sounds great, but how do we put it into play? And the tip is start small. The littlest things. You already have some non-negotiables. You brush your teeth. You wipe your ass. So stack something you want to do behind brushing your teeth. Say you're going to go for a quick walk. Go for a walk. Brush your teeth. Go for a quick walk. It could be 1 minute, but you've honored the word to yourself. You said you were going to go for a walk and you did it. Start small, start honoring the word to yourself, and pretty soon you're going to be able to do whatever it is you say you want to do. When you've done this, you've completely changed your standard. When your standard is changed, you are going to run circles around the people that are around you that are trying to do the same shit that you are trying to do. So that being said, what is it? It is simple. Not easy, but simple. Honor the word to yourself. Rock and roll.
Honor the word to yourself is the message from John Anderson this morning. I like that one, guys. If you can't honor your word to yourself, how are you going to honor your word to anybody else? It all starts in your own mirror is the message from John Anderson this morning. Brian Clayton just wrapped up with us. Hey, I see you in the comments there, Francois. I love having you join the show. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe to it. And Jonathan Polaransky, yes, I brought out the old Jamaican hat today. I thought I'd throw it on the old skull with the good old robe here this morning. Good morning, Jory Jansen.
Good morning. What is
Jory, how are you?
What's with the what?
the get up?
Oh, well, it's a morning show. I figured, hey, I'd wake up. So truthfully, honest to God, a little tired this morning, Jory. Kind of the end of the loop here. I thought the Jets game last night. Woke up this morning. I figured, hey, I'm going to show up on my morning show. And because I do this job for a living, I feel like I have liberty to be really goofy. I have the liberty to show up in a robe. I have liberty to put a fucking stupid hat on. I have this liberty to act like a fool for a few hours every single morning. And that's the whole shtick. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I can wear a robe to work today. Lauren's like, really? I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jory, he's what he's doing is he's finding an excuse just to be goofy. He just wants to be goofy for no reason. So now he's trying to find a reason for it.
Let's be honest. He is goofy, and he's learning to be unapologetically himself.
There we go.
That's it. Hey, you guys, I wouldn't expect you guys were probably busy yesterday after you guys left the lab on to your next commitments throughout the day, but I sat back and sang a little verse from I Did It My Way with Frank Sinatra yesterday, and Flynn's like, you just sang on the show. I'm like, yeah, because people could not even have the courage to get on a camera, and you got behind the microphone and did it my way and sang. It's like, yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you, this is perfect. This is a totally bad one. The first day I met him, I was like, look at this little nutty son of a bitch doing his thing. I said, but I love him. I don't know what it is. He's nutty as a fruitcake, but he's doing it all the way.
Yes, I am doing it all the way. Speaking of all the way, there's a segue. Jory's like, where's it gonna go? This one. She's like, oh shit, really? No, let's get into some fun conversation this morning on a Friday of the Loop here around common food myths. I know we only got a few minutes here, but I wanted to throw it to three of you guys. You're all in the health, fitness, nutrition industry, wellness industry. Jory, you got people calling you up from time to time, and they must ask you, just like Johnny and Marty, ridiculous questions that you're like, really? You just asked me that? Or it's, no, that's a myth that was expired 30 years ago, Mr. Gen Xer. And I bring it up, Jory, because as a Gen Xer, shit that I grew up with or my mom taught me back years ago is not relevant anymore. So what are some common myths that people tuning in right now, or when we cut this up later, they're like, oh, I thought that was real? What's one that jumps to mind for you, Jory?
Oh, there's so many.
Going outside, you're going to catch
all day.
Well, check this out. You know what? I think a lot of this stuff comes about because, they might have some research that shows that there's some little bit of a forward momentum. There's some sort of a reaction. And basically that little tiny thing is such a small fucking detail. It's not going to matter, but people are holding on to that shit. It's like, oh, well, the research says if I do this, I was one of them. Shit, when I was a kid, I was trying to build muscle. Well, I saw on TV, eat wheats, build. So I'm eating fucking loaves of bread. You know what I mean? Because is there some little piece of research at the time that was going to help me? Probably, and I just took and ran with it. So people are using these little bitty things as a way to kind of do what they want in so many cases.
Yeah, it's that, and they're just looking for that little piece of hope, right? They're like, so this time, this is gonna work. This time, and so a lot of the ones like spicy food. The amount of caloric difference that it's making is very minute. There is a slight right after eating. It's the thermogenic effect. Yeah, it's so small that in the end doesn't have an impact in terms of that. Other than if you're eating, whole foods and you're adding some spice, it's not going to add extra calories. So in that sense, perhaps, but it's not magic. Or apple cider vinegar, or thinking that all carbs are bad for you and they make you fat and they cause brain fog. Ooh, by a doctor. This one really actually made me mad. And I don't get mad that easily most of the time. But it's the plant paradox, lentils, beans, lentils, those things are going to kill you, that they're bad for you and they're leading to weight gain.
You're kidding me. That came from a doctor?
What's that?
That came from a doctor?
That came from, his background is a surgeon. Yeah, he's an author of a book out there, a couple books. What's great, though, is when you listen to him, it's all the stuff around these plants and how they're killing you. But then at the end, guess what? You have to buy his supplements.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So,
but
we cook lentils, we cook beans, so we're okay. We're breaking down lectins, and we're able to eat these foods just fine. So that one coming from highly respected medical practitioners, that bothers me.
But Jory, you raised a good point, because I think there's something to be said for that. We're inundated with so much information, especially in a world now with misinformation and fake information and AI generated information. We really need to look at where the source is, right? And if you got a doctor telling you one thing, look to see if he's selling you something at the end, right? And maybe that's probably a message within the myth, isn't it, guys?
Well, so depending on the doctor, keep in mind, unless a doctor is really trained in nutrition, they're special. Just because someone is a doctor doesn't mean he understands the depths of nutrition. Maybe he's been really trained in knee surgery. Doesn't mean that he understands the depths of nutrition. They cover it, of course, they cover it in their school, but they specialize, and so it's, Jory just put the little bitty that's, I don't know exactly what it is, but my nephew is actually becoming a doctor right now. He's actually considered a doctor. I called him Dr. Lowell for the first time not too long ago. But even he's saying, it's like, in that early part, they're just going over real general stuff. And so it's really, but people hear, a doctor, and they give that doctor too much credit without understanding where that doctor's specific knowledge base is.
Yeah. Hey, Jory, got a question from the comments here. A quick question from Francois. Is it true that eating late at night causes
That's a good one.
weight gain? And I guess that is the key point there. Weight gain.
Yeah.
So many variables to that question.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will go out and say that the blanket statement is a myth. Of course, there's different things going on. It's how much total are you eating? Is your input bigger than your output? Then it stays put. That's the rule of thumb. And then it's what are you choosing to eat?
Yeah. I mean, what are we eating late night? People are not eating fucking chicken breasts late night.
Or it's a peanut butter.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Cheez-Its and ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
It's a great question, and it comes up all the time. Like I was just with some U18 hockey players last night on Zoom, and that exact question came up. It's always come, no matter how old, where you are in life. So it's a fair question, but I'd like to say that overall, it in terms of the science, it's a myth. But then in terms of habits, could be.
Well, and I think the problem with that question and what's loaded about it is that if you're going to put food or water into your body, if you're going to put food or water into a container and then you put the container onto a scale, there's mass inside of the container. What's the scale going to tell you? Well, there's the mass has increased. So if you're going to put food and water into your body at night, when you wake up in the morning and step onto the scale, the container, your body, is probably going to have some weight.
Yeah,
right?
So, there's a difference between
that's what I mean. Yes.
Weight and body composition.
Yeah, because then we're talking about are we when people say gain weight from eating at night, they're saying, am I getting fat? Is what they're asking. They're using weight as this generalized term. Most people don't say, I want to lose fat. They say, I want to lose weight.
That's why I brought that up very specifically.
Don't understand the difference. So yes, according whatever the actual amount of weight that you ingest is going to be with you, but that could actually help you burn some body fat if you're doing it right.
Yeah. And that's why I bring that up because, we often will hear stories of somebody, I sweated off 20 pounds or I went and worked out and I got rid of 20 pounds of weight. Well, yeah, because that's all that water you've lost your body. It's no different than consuming 20 pounds. I'm exaggerating the point here, but 20 pounds of water before and your body, it's again, back to that container effect. Your body is going to have more weight inside of it, right? So I hope that answers your question, Francois, but I can imagine, Jory, that is a common one that always comes up, doesn't it?
It is. And no question is like a dumb question or a dumb question. It's a question, right?
Yes.
We work in this area. We're constantly talking about it. So it's for us, it's a simple response. But in terms of the general public, I mean, I wouldn't know anything about anything with engineering. It's like, I don't know.
Yes.
So it's a fair question, and I wouldn't want anyone to think like it's silly or anything. But it's very common. I just get upset when it's highly respected health practitioners that are creating such garbage.
Yes.
I want to add too, and it's okay to eat a late healthy dinner. That's if you're trying to build muscle, it's probably better than skipping a meal. I have people like, well, I got home late, so I just didn't eat dinner. Like, no, if you have a goal, especially centered around body composition, you probably are better off eating that late dinner.
And that always comes up too. Perfect. I'm glad you brought that up.
Let's lean into that before we say goodbye to Jory here. So here's a myth or a truth. I could eat unlimited whole food and essentially not get quote unquote fat. So Keith, go eat as much vegetables and food and good clean food. Jory, truth to that statement?
Well, for sure, because at some point, all that fiber and water and even just the flavor, you're going to be satisfied. You're going to stop, right? Yes. Whereas some of these other foods, the high fat, sodium, and sugar combination triggers overeating, right? Yes. So it totally makes sense if you were to reduce and maybe some days cut out all of these highly processed foods, then you can find that you can actually eat more food and achieve the outcome that you're looking for.
Well, like Richie was even saying, he was like, he's switching to more whole real foods. He's like, God, he goes, I get full faster, because obviously when you're eat whole foods are, they're not so condensed. They're not so, calorically. Processed foods are, I mean, it's amazing what you can calorically fit into a very small space with processed foods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Jory here. Jory's here on every Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings and live with Keith and Friends. Our protein break. Jory, we're heading into Christmas break next weekend. Final weekend before, I guess, 2 more weekends. But any big plans for you and the family this weekend, Jory?
This weekend, yeah, there's some outings, some parties, some get-togethers already starting. That's what I mean, right? So this holiday season starts. It's weeks. It's a month long. So that's where you do want to be mindful in terms of your frequency of being what I call festive. So it's not a no always. It's just maybe not today.
Jory's always frequency of being festive, nation. Think about that. So as you're going through your frequency of being festive, be conscious of your choices, right, Jory? Because at the end of those festivities, you might wake up not feeling very festive about yourself.
Absolutely. I had a client yesterday morning, for example, and I'll let you get on with your show. But she's going, in January in the new year, a few days across the border with family, and then in February going to Mexico for a holiday. And I said, it's not what you're doing those days that are really going to be doomsday. It's what are you doing? It's like an athlete. What do you do before competition? What do you do after competition? Yeah. Right. So, and one of the things that I said is, have you considered that when you go away for your vacation in Mexico, that when you come home, everything's already prepared and planned to reset? About that. Because when you show up and you're back, you're tired of getting back into things, and busy happens, and busy means that you're not making time for yourself. And then all of a sudden it's January 1st again with the same resolution, right? So set yourself up for success, not failure. Plan for enjoyment, and then be prepared to restart. Have everything already prepared so you're ready to go. That would be just my little tip for you over the holiday season.
That's great advice, because Marty, you've had your clients, I got to get 10 pounds off before I go on vacation. But nobody's coming to you saying, right? Nobody's saying, hey, Marty, I need the plan for on the Monday when I get home after vacation, right? It's just like, everybody's working to get there, and then we forget it all, right? So good topic to have a conversation along the way here. All right, Jory, enjoy the time of the weekend with the family, and we'll look forward to reconnecting with you next week, okay?
Sounds good.
See you Monday.
Thank you, Jory.
Awesome. All right, Jory.
All right, Jory.
All right, I think Marty's got to rock and roll out of here, I'm suspecting.
I got to rock and roll, man. You know, hey, look, I wish I could talk to y'all for 4 hours, but I can't, man.
We're working on it. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're going to make it happen.
Man, one day.
You know what? I'll tell you something before you go, Marty. I was inspired by Brian Clayton, right? He's like, yeah, we worked for 2 years to find 100 customers. Well, I know, because I got a list here behind the scenes here. We got these stands that are showing up, these super fans. Marty, John, we get to 100. We know there's 1,000 out there. We know there's 10,000 out there. We know there's 100,000 out there, right? We know there's men tuning into the show. So when I hear a guy like Brian, it's inspiring, right? So we got to keep showing up. Marty, have yourself a great day, brother. Stay warm.
All right,
be well.
Y'all too.
Have
man.
a good
Take
loop,
it
baby.
See y'all Monday, man.
All right. Joy, Marty's out of there. We got David Landis in the green room. Mornings in the lab with Keith and Friends. John Anderson, myself, David Landis. We had Brian Clayton here in the first hour, and we're going to get into the community corner. I got
to have a piss before we keep going, brother.
All right, Johnny's going to step out. I'm going to reset the hour, Jimmy, Tommy. We're going to reset the hour. Here's what's going to happen here in the second hour of the show here. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I plan my day right now. I'm going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk a little bit about some habits that might make us live longer. We talked about that yesterday. We're going to continue that conversation, myself and Johnny. So, boys, if you guys can get that ready. I don't know if you guys have that presentation here. So if you don't, I am going to get it ready for you guys right now. We'll bring it up here in a couple moments. But along the way here, I'm going to talk about what I have done, what I do to plan my day. I know the hook for today's show was what I do to plan my day. And I got to tell you guys, my day starts at 4 a.m. every single day. Because one thing I've learned about this show is that because it's a live show, because we've committed to it every single day, Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only show to get you guys ass out of bed, is that time doesn't stop, right? So I know when we have our meetings and we have our regular jobs and regular recorded podcasts, it's like, yeah, we'll do it an hour later. No, we'll do it tomorrow at 8 o'clock. No, it's okay if we're 3 minutes late. But is that how life is? No. So what I've learned with this thing is that we got to be planned, man. We got to be planned. Plan. We plan the night before, plan the day before, plan before we go to bed, plan when we get up, right? So planning is probably one of the most critical things that I've learned with this whole thing. But as I have, teased you guys with the hook of what do I do to plan my day? the true disappointment in all of it is that it's not rocket science. And I know that when I speak to folks, sorry, I'm just getting something ready for my crew here. When I speak to folks about, hey, what's the magic? What's the magic? What's the magic? Well, that's what frustrates me, because there is no magic, right? It's showing up, it's having a plan, and it's executing it. When I speak with entrepreneurs and business leaders, the question is often, but Keith, there's got to be some magic to how you built your company and sold it for $50 million. No, Brian talked about it, right? It was relentlessly showing up, right? And then when you fall, picking yourself up and going again, right? Finding the right people around you, surrounding yourself with the right people, and then just continue to execute, right? And when you execute, your execution is not always going to work, right? But you want to show up the next day and execute again. So how do I continue to plan my day? When I fail yesterday, I show up and I try again today. It's just what I do, right? And I've learned that failure is the reason to keep going, right? So when I fall up, I get up and do it again, right? It's hard. This morning, I've talked about this before. I planned on my run this morning. I planned it last night. It's one thing I learned from Johnny. We're having a conversation right now of how I plan my day. Johnny is a big proponent on, you plan your day the day before. Some folks plan their day the week before. But John's a big fan of, when you hit the gym, you want to know what you're doing at least 24 hours before, so that you're not taking the easy choice when you get there. So, for example, myself, Johnny, this morning, I was tired this morning. When I get out of bed here, guys, and I do my coffee and my morning read from 4 till 5. I hit the gym from 5 till 6:15 for my cardio, my energy workout, and then I do my lift post show, my strength training. But Johnny, I got down the stairs this morning. I was tired. I was like, okay, and I walked towards the easy thing. But I remember the decision I made yesterday morning was to do the hard thing. When I walked downstairs, I walked towards the easy thing. I had to remind myself, no, hold on, Billis. That's not the thing you're supposed to do. And I walked over to the hard thing and I just executed on it. And did it suck for the first few minutes, guys? Absolutely, it sucked. But we talk about chasing feelings. I knew that if I keep putting the effort in, Johnny, that feeling I was going to get when I was done was going to be awesome. And that was what the net result was. So when I get into how I plan my day, I'm chasing a feeling, just like Johnny. Like yesterday morning, I knew when I got up yesterday morning, I had a feeling I wanted to have in myself by the time I went to bed last night, and I achieved it. And sometimes it's hard, John, when I talk to people going, well, how do you plan your day? How do you plan for success? And that's why I brought up the conversation with Brian about dopamine and feelings, because it's something I've battled with my whole life, man. It's the feeling, right? Feeling good, feeling bad. But it's the chasing of a feeling. Johnny, want to lean into this with me?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes down to when I sat back down, I'm talking about failure. And I think, underneath all of what we're talking about is that when a person starts to realize that A, failure is a part of the equation, you can't avoid it, and B, you're just better off to pursue it.
Yes.
Because when you pursue it, you're fail fast. You're going to fail many, many times to get to your result that you're looking for. So why wait to fail? You might have to, let's just say there's 100 failures before you get there. Well, why are you avoiding failure? Start failing, because every time you're going to try, you're going to fail, you're going to learn, you're going to adjust your plan, and you're going to repeat it. You just do that until you get what you want.
That's why I was so inspired by Brian Clayton. And I knew you guys were when you met him as well. I knew you got, listen, I believe I've gotten to know you guys quite well. We spent 15 hours a week together. I believe I'm getting to know you guys quite well. I knew you were going to be inspired by Clayton because his story is so resonating. Because the guy has fucking failed many times, Johnny. He's failed time and time again. I've heard his story. And, you can imagine that the weeks he showed up back at the office when he was starting his business going, oh, fuck, this isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working. But to keep trying, right?
The darker it is, the harder it is.
Yes.
That just means you're closer to what you're looking for. It's like the darker it seems, the closer you are to the light.
Yes, it's a really good one. All right, so we got David Landis coming up here at the bottom of the hour here. We're going to bring him maybe even sooner than that. But what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to keep the chat going. I'm going to keep talking about how I plan my day in the coming days and weeks. We're going to get a little more specific on it. Truthfully, we'll get off that later. I want to bring up what we brought up yesterday, which was hobbies that might make you live a little bit longer here. So boys, as we continue to try some new things here on the show, I'm going to ask you guys to bring that up here for us. And Johnny, yesterday we were talking about habits that might make us live longer. I thoroughly enjoyed the chat. I was doing some more reading last night on this, and you know, when we wake up, and Brian talked about it, right? When we wake up with purpose, it helps us move even further and faster. And when Brian and yourself and myself, we achieved our first success, it was about ourselves, making cash. But then you're like, oh, what am I going to do next? Now I know you're waking up every single day to help change the lives of your team. I do the same thing, right? I'm excited to continue helping, you know, change Jimmy's life and hopefully changing Marty's life and all of our lives, right? So it's that renewed purpose. And sometimes we do it through hobbies. Johnny, kayaking is a hobby that men should take, might want to be invited to take as a new way to try something new and explore Mother Nature, get active, create some momentum. It's scary as fuck, especially if you're scared of water. But Johnny, have you done any kayaking in your lifetime, brother?
Yeah, can't say done much kayaking, but so, you know, we've always lived on water. That's just,
I know you have.
House isn't on water, I'm not buying it. And so at our last house up in Northern California, we were right on like an inlet off the bay, San Francisco Bay. So, you know, a canoe was a little bit more worthy of some of those waters, you know? And so I didn't like the canoe. Terry loved it, right? And she was just like, don't worry, you just sit in there. So I would get in there and get myself all fucking comfy, just totally sitting back like in a recliner. Yeah. And she would sit in the back and fucking row us around. It was like, but she loved it. She loved it. But you know, the neighbors would see this and go, what the fuck is going on here? Shouldn't this be flipped around, you know?
I'm envisioning Terry.
She didn't like me smoking a cigar because the smoke would go back and hit her. So I could not do a cigar, but it was pretty fucking tranquil.
Well, and the funny thing is that canoes are narrow experiences, and you don't strike me as a narrow fellow. So I'm envisioning this.
Well, it was a big fucking canoe, dude. I mean, it was wide enough that I could just, it was perfect. I could sit in there and I could just have each arm kind of up on the edge like a reclining chair.
That's what I'm envisioning, you sitting in this canoe like fucking King Tut. You're just sitting there, you're fucking.
We put like an air mattress in there so it was nice and comfy, you know, and it was fucking great. We'd row around. The thing is that she fucking loved it. She wanted, hey, do you want to go? And I'm like, okay. And part of it too is because when we started doing this, it was shortly after a back surgery.
Okay.
And so sitting with my knees over my hips was fucking, I couldn't do it very long.
Yeah.
She's like, look, you just get yourself comfortable in there and I'll do the rowing. I was like, wow. This doesn't sound so bad after all.
So you got Terry canoeing you around the lake. Well, Johnny, I got to tell you, man, we're talking kayaking here. We're talking hobbies that might make you live longer, or hobbies that might make you get a divorce. Johnny, I'm in my first few years of my relationship with Lauren, and not only in the first year, we went and climbed Kilimanjaro together and had to shit in a paint can together. We decided to go to the Galapagos a year and a half later and do some kayaking. Well, let me tell you about that experience, kayaking with your partner in the open ocean with somebody you're just meeting and getting to know each other for the first time. We made it and we're still together, but I'm telling you, man, it was one of those, oh, are you fucking rowing on the left side or the right side? Come on, we got to row together. And it was not the best.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, see, in my version, there's only one rower, so you don't have that conflict.
I can't imagine Terry in the back just fucking rolling away, her 280-pound husband just sitting there like King Tut.
Well, at that point, I was over 300 pounds too, so I was even bigger.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking crazy. The neighbors just ate that shit.
Oh, I'm sure. What's the next one up on the screen here, boys? What's the next album we want to? Volunteering. John, are you a big volunteer? So I will admit this. So here's, I'm going to get chastised for this one. I don't volunteer. I'm like, if I'm going to put my time on, I want to make some money. And I'm being really honest about it, but I am the worst at volunteering. I would rather work really hard and then give you my visa to pay for something. And that's whatever. Call me a piece of shit, but I'm not the best volunteer. I just really not. Johnny.
Well, you know, what I did was I volunteered in situations that gave me a chance to be around my kids more.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So like I volunteered. I was a fucking T-ball coach. You know, yes. That was not even supposed to happen. We signed the middle daughter up for T-ball, and the fucking coach after the second day quit. So the rec center's like, look, if one of the parents won't become the coach, we're gonna have to cancel the team. And my daughter was like, Daddy, she's like, I want to play T-ball. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, here we go. So I became the T-ball coach.
Oh man. Yeah.
But any activity that I can volunteer to be with one of my daughters was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, well, I get that. That's absolutely smart. And I know some people who live to volunteer, and I got nothing but respect and props for that. The world is a better place because of all the volunteers that we have out there making it a better place. I just suck at it. So there's two things that I suck at, Johnny. I suck at a hobby and I suck at a volunteer because for me, if there's not the ability to make cash on the end of it, I'm like, oh, what do I put my time in for? Right. So because I feel like if I can make the cash, I can change the world with more volunteers or whatever, or spend more time with my kids. It's just maybe a whacked mindset, but that's where my head goes. Jimmy, what's the next one there, Tommy? We got the next. Oh, billiards. Johnny, are you a billiards player for hobbies that might help you live longer, gentlemen? Billiards.
I'll be honest. I played a little bit of pool back in the day when I was kind of browsing bars, but that was really just kind of something it was just an activity, a filler activity when you're scoping a place out for chicks. That's all.
Yes. Yeah. It's just filler time, right? Just the good old billiards. Yeah. I'm not a big pool player myself. I've shot a few, I've shot the pool cue a few times, but not a big thing for me. All right. What's next?
I mean, I don't mind playing, but it's not a huge interest.
I get you. Next up is, I think it's rock climbing. Is that what it is? Yeah. Starting indoors is rock climbing. Johnny, you do not strike me as somebody who likes to do rock climbing.
No, that's something that I've never put any effort into.
Are you scared of heights? Are you afraid of heights? Are you a height guy? Do you mind heights?
Funny enough, I was never afraid of heights, but it's probably about a year ago. Terry and I we were up in the top, like way up in like the 45th floor of this hotel, and we had a balcony. I went to look over and I got this fucking crazy vertigo. I felt like I was going to fall down, like almost like I was going to fall down over the fucking rail, and I was like, what was that, man? So I don't know. I'd be totally honest. I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm definitely afraid of that feeling. And if I came back, it was pretty trippy.
Yeah, I don't love heights. I helped try to alleviate them by doing some bungee jumping when I was a young pup.
I did that. I bungee jumped. That was a fucking experience. I'm always right at the fucking weight limit of these things. Like, how much do you weigh? I was at that time, I was like 250. Oh, good. Well, because the cords are set for 255. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's way to make me feel fucking great here. Right. I remember jumping off this fucking thing, and it was a crane over a goddamn parking lot. So there was no pad down there. There was none of that. And I went barreling off this thing, just like trying to overcome the fact that this was scary as shit. And I get to the bottom. Yeah, and they didn't tell me this, but I guess it was normal that certain types of shoes will fucking pop off. So my shoes pop off, right? And I think I'm going back up, but I don't think I'm hooked up to the cords anymore. That makes sense? Dude, I was fucking screaming like, oh my God. I mean, I figured it out as I was going up. I'm like, there's my shoes. Oh my God, I'm unhooked. And of course I'm looking and I still see the cords hooked to me, but there was about felt like 2 minutes, but it was probably a second where I thought that I wasn't hooked up to the cords anymore.
Yeah, I believe I was half in the bag when I did my bungee jumping experience. It was the good old liquid courage experience there, Johnny.
Yeah, that was at a time when I didn't drink at all. So that there was nothing to do other than just to overcome the jump, which was definitely a tough one.
That was probably at a time when I drank too much, which was the reason that I jumped off the bungee jump. We got Scott Benzie coming in with volunteer work is a good way for networking, free advertising. I always wear my business shirt and have made good contacts for your work. That's great, Scott. That's awesome. I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. It's a great way to network with like-minded humans. But if you're not that like-minded human, Scott, I'm probably not going to meet like-minded people like myself at a volunteering session. So hence I'll stay out of the volunteering part of life here. Tommy, what's the next one up here for healthy hobbies to make us live longer? We talked about this one yesterday, learning whiskey. Let's go to the next. We talked with AJ about whiskey yesterday. What's next up here on the, oh yes. We're going to end this chat here today around chess. Johnny, you strike me as somebody who plays chess while everybody plays checkers.
Yeah, I love chess. Is a fucking amazing game. I mean, I'll play checkers. Like I played plenty of checkers with my daughters. You know, because there's a certain age where they didn't understand You know, and I think chess, realistic, it's kind of long. I mean, I love it. You know, I just had a buddy over that, because it's rare that you find people that play chess. One of them, actually, Alex. Remember Alex? He came on the show.
Yeah.
Fucking Alex could play the game, man. He whooped my ass. We played 3 times, and the best I could do was stalemate.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, he put me away quick. But the idea that there's just so much thinking and there's so many strategies to it, that's what makes it so fun. I started playing that when I was probably 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
Really helpful. Yeah,
Who
really
taught
helpful for my what was it? It was I learned it actually because there was a small period of time I was in a private school as a youngster. And so it was one of those schools where you did a lot of shit like chess. You know what I mean? Stuff that was kind of a little bit more like, we learned to write calligraphy and shit like that. So there was learning outside of the box skills. And so we played a lot of chess there, and I loved it. And then the problem is that having a person that will play chess, there's not that many people out there that play the game.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, and maybe it's somewhat of a lost art, right? I think you were kind of alluding to that. I know you can play chess with technology and computers today, but I don't know.
I will never play chess virtually if I'm not sitting in front of it's a social thing. It's a fun thing.
It's a social thing. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, a good game of chess with a cigar with a buddy. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah, there you have it. All right, healthy habits that might make you live longer, gentlemen. We're wrapping up the segment we started yesterday with myself and John Anderson here with Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I got David Landis hanging on the green room. We're going to bring him here next as we walk Johnny out. Johnny, what do you got on the agenda today, pal? It's Big Friday day today. I got a back workout today. What do you got planned, brother?
Well, I got my normal stuff. I'm going to train here a little bit. Got some good meetings with my team and some new stuff we're working on. And then I got to fucking pull out this 12-foot Christmas tree and put the son of a bitch together, which I'm not looking forward to.
Johnny Anderson with the Christmas tree this morning on Mornings in the Lab, putting it up there in California. My friend, you have yourself a great weekend loop. We'll look forward to reconnecting on Monday. I have another week next week. And as we work towards, only a couple more weeks left in the year of the 2024 loop.
Crazy, baby. Crazy.
It's crazy. All right. Good week, my friend. You enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll talk to you Monday.
Right on.
All right. Johnny's out of here. Jimmy, Walter, we're going to bring up David Landis in just a quick second here. Hey, everybody. I'm him. Yeah, that's it. I'm Keith Billis. I'm your host of Mornings Live with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to help you guys get your ass out of bed. Here we go, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday to Friday here, dropping here in the lab. Scott, I appreciate you joining us here on the show here. Stick around. We got David Landis coming up here in less than a minute here. So, Jimmy, Tommy, here's how it's going to work. We're going to bring David up here. We're going to introduce the Gamma. We're going to bring David through. What's going on, Mr. Landis?
Hi there. How are you?
Good to see you, boys. Let's bring that Gamma up here. Let's introduce David. So David Landis joins us here. David found us through a conversation somewhere on LinkedIn. He's like, hey, what's this guy doing over here? He's a guide to self-mastery, transformational coach. He's all about challenging experts. He's a results-driven human being. He's all about the reality of change in today's world. It's inevitable. It's challenging. It's full of opportunity. And David is all about the mastery, developing schools to thrive and change. Common obstacles, success, self-doubt, anxiety, imposter syndrome, and of course, the proverbial procrastination. The truth about hard work was showing up. The myth of hard work alone, the power of transformational work, it doesn't happen unless you show up every single day. And that's the theory that David Landis subscribes to. And of course, the transformational self-mastery method about identifying limiting beliefs, confronting your internal barriers, and redefining your identity is what Mr. Landis stands for. And he is joining us here on Mornings in the Lab. The benefits of personal transformation, self-actualization, enhanced leadership, increased resilience, improved relationships, and greater success. Let's keep it going here, boys. Who can benefit? Aspiring entrepreneurs, established professionals, business leaders, anyone seeking growth can do it with Mr. Landis, the impact transformation. David Landis, thanks for joining us here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Let's get David up on the screen here, boys. All right, there he is. How's it going, pal?
Here I am. Hey, Keith. Thank you. That sounds fabulous. I sound like a wonderful guy, don't I?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Thanks for showing up here this morning in the lab. Where are you joining us from here today?
I am in Indiana.
What?
You guys were talking about Mark Cuban. I am 45 minutes from his alma mater.
No
IU.
kidding.
Yeah.
Did you go to school with the guy?
No, I did not. I wish I would have sat next to him and cheated off his paper. I think.
There you go. There you go. So you discovered us while seeing some content after Adam Peters was on our show.
I absolutely did, man. You brought the excitement, enthusiasm, and it drove me in, and I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I found you.
I thank you. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful when people discover us, and I'm grateful that people hang around. Like, hey, I like what these guys are doing there. What struck you with our conversation with Adam that where you're like, yeah, I want to tune into these guys?
I met LinkedIn is a great place. If you're not hanging out on LinkedIn and doing business, you're missing an opportunity. And I met Adam there. We're both developing businesses and having conversations, and I'm passionate about men's issues in general.
Yeah.
And then Adam doing the work he's doing with veterans. My family is full of veterans. I'm not, but I can appreciate the challenges they're facing. And especially with post-traumatic stress and other things. My 30 years as a my 30 years as a firefighter and my own challenges with mental health and stress and all of those things drew me to Adam and veterans issues. And so, yeah, I love the work Adam's doing.
Talk about that a little bit, David. You said your own struggles with mental health and so forth. Has that been a big battle for your, has it been a big part of your journey, David?
It was a pivotal point in my journey. I grew up in a household where I knew I was loved and cared for.
Yeah.
But it was a house we all wanted to escape from. No matter what it looked like on the surface, there were other things going on behind the surface.
Oh, yeah.
Much like many of us walk around in the world appearing as though everything is okay. And that's part of my mission, part of my message is to be as open book as I can be, to let people know that, especially men, that you're not alone in this trying to figure out life thing. And I was, I got to see how my parents tried to figure it out. I was committed and determined never to do that again. But then I found myself in that dark hole many of us find ourselves in. And that journey to find my way out is a big part of what I do today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. It's interesting to hear you say that because we walk around, pretending everything's okay. In many ways, it was the metaphor of my show this morning, putting the robe on. Because I got nothing underneath the robe.
Yeah.
Right. So it's true story. It's just full on naked. Right. But there's a point in that. There's a point in that.
Yeah.
Right? I had a busy week. I was tired last night, tired this morning, but I'm still here. Yeah. Right. And it wasn't about putting on the great crazy clothes today. It was about being here, showing up for my accountability friends, for my folks that are looking for a friendly voice, for the folks that are looking for some inspiration and motivation this morning. And and to me, the robe is a great metaphor to deliver to the audience that there's no fear here. It's just, I'm naked, raw. What do you want to ask? Right.
Yeah.
And it's maybe encouraging others to feel that same way. Right.
Well, it's, you guys were talking about feeling today.
Yeah.
We're all feeling stuff. We're carrying around that feeling while we're walking around in the world. And it's okay to have those feelings. A lot of people are feeling as if there's something wrong with them. They're somehow broken, somehow dysfunctioning, somehow something's wrong. And it's just not true. We're all feeling stuff. We're looking out at other people and seeing their perfect, what appears to be some sort of perfect presentation. They've got it all figured out. They know everything they've got something I don't have. Why am I feeling so lousy? When we're all carrying that stuff, we're all putting on our robe, doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
And the important thing that I love about leadership and talk about Adam and challenges that we face, leaders learn to take care of that stuff. Self-leadership is what I talk about mostly. The foundational issue is self-leadership. Taking care of yourself is number one priority because I want to show up for my family. I want to show up strength-wise and be able to carry the 9-foot Christmas tree in. I carried it in last week. You guys were talking about earlier.
Yes.
I want to show up for my kids. I want to show up for the people that I serve in my business. When I was a firefighter, I want to show up for the customers, the community. How do you want to show up? If you're not taking care of yourself, you have nothing left. It's it's the old proverbial put the mask on yourself before other people. But yeah.
Did you learn that through your upbringing? You talked about you lived in talked about your house. Maybe it wasn't a home, or some of the challenges about escaping the home. Did you learn that from that experience, or where did you learn that, David?
Which part? The mask?
The mask.
Taking care of yourself. I learned it through a school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
I learned it from that day in the back of the firehouse when I'm journaling about whether being alive is the best option. Those are those moments when you got a choice. I scared the hell out of myself. I was like, how the hell did I get here? I was committed. My own father would eventually commit suicide. He started when I was 15. And you go through that experience. And I share that not because we're all carrying heavy weights. We don't have any idea what somebody else is carrying.
Yeah.
And as a leader, there is a way forward. Finding that way forward, that self-mastery, that learning to develop yourself and prioritizing yourself, including all the things you feel. Number one priority, if you're going to show up and do the things, it's scary as hell to face some of those things that you don't want to face. But on the other side, that's where you show up and you love and care for your family. That's where you can show up and be strong in all sorts of ways. There's power in it. And I like that.
David, where did you, gentlemen of our generation, typically don't talk about feelings?
No.
My role and my goal with this show is to change that for gentlemen within our generation.
And that's why I'm here.
Why and how, not why, how did you learn that you needed to embrace your feelings? And what was the impetus to move you in that direction?
You know what? It started with courage. The courage to face myself, and then the courage that I've had to build. People would know me when I worked as a firefighter. They would see me as appearing a certain way, and the whole time I'm solving other people's problems for a living, and I can't freaking solve my own. And my wife would say, what's it going to take to make you happy? And it's that challenge to figure out what it was going on inside of me was a courageous process, but it required me building confidence. A lot of this coming to terms with how I'm feeling was being courageous and then being confident that I'm not broken. Things are okay. It's just part of being human. And that's why I'm on this other side having these conversations, is to encourage people, men, women, children, talking to our kids about what they're feeling. Yeah. Oh, that's such an important thing. But for me, it was a matter of being courageous, but building the confidence within myself to stand here and say, hey, man, as a man to another man, or in front of an audience, speaking on stages, I have feelings. And sometimes those feelings come out as tears. But I used to work with some pretty tough guys with tough perspectives, and they would be challenged by it, but I knew they loved their kids. But the coolest thing I've done is marry my youngest son. I can feel the depth of love and excitement and joy because I was able to go to the depths of the pain I was feeling and come out on the other side. And so if you're not man enough, those guys in the firehouse, I said, if you're not man enough to feel the feelings you're feeling, all of them, then you're going to cheat yourself out of the feelings you want to feel.
Wow. And how do they respond?
It's a process of relationship. It's a process of having these conversations. That's why this show and these conversations matter so much. It's beginning to get people comfortable with it. You don't just go jump into the deep end of the pool. You start in a kiddie pool and you work your way up. You do what you got to do. You go through the process.
David, I'm speaking to gentlemen on this show and on this program that are waking up, looking in the mirror, not happy with themselves, are waking up stuck in their career, waking up wondering why their wife's not having sex with them, waking up lost, waking up without a purpose, waking up stuck, waking up with imposter syndrome. Now, you have referred to yourself during our conversation numerous times as a firefighter. It strikes me because you keep referring to yourself as that title.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued by the struggles you have had
Mm-hmm.
by shedding that label of I'm no longer a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
I was a firefighter. You identify with being a firefighter for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that journey, inspiring men that might hear our message right now going, oh, I'm not that anymore. How do I become something else?
You're right. The reason I bring up firefighting now, it's been a journey. I retired from that career after 30 in 20. So it's been 4 years, and it's been a process of shedding that.
Yes.
And it's easy. Thankfully, I'm not someone who so identified with that role that it was everything that I was. So the journey has been easier, but it's still not easy. I committed to that career.
Yeah.
I was good at it.
Yeah.
I had respect. I had a position. I had responsibilities. I knew what I was supposed to do in that job. But then you come out into life and you've got to figure out life. You got to figure out things that you're not as good at, or now speaking to business owners and founders and entrepreneurs and building something new and going through that process of rebuilding. If you don't have the confidence is a foundational thing, the confidence to go through that journey of rebuilding yourself, rebuilding a career after you failed in the business or after you failed at something or a relationship. So for me, that career, the reason I reference it, it taught me so much. Our past isn't something to be forgotten. It's to be respected for what it gave you, but it doesn't define you. And it's that challenge to figure out purpose and having a project. And that's why I'm so passionate about self-mastery, is attempting to control that world out there is not how we're going to create business. It's not how you build a relationship. It's mastering yourself. It's developing yourself. And so that process, it can be painful. It's a process of grief. It's a process of struggle. It's a process of questioning, again, courage and confidence to go through that journey.
David, you talked about the moment you were sitting in the back of the firehouse journaling,
Right.
wondering whether there was going to be tomorrow.
Right.
There's a fellow listening right now or tuning in or considering tuning in through Adam Peters, through yourself, through my network.
Right.
Who might be walking towards his firehouse with his journal, with his pen,
Right.
having similar thoughts. What are you telling that fellow based upon your journey, David?
That isn't the best option. That option that you're considering isn't an option. You've got more in you. You are more than you might think you are. There are more options than you might think you have right now.
But David, that's cliche.
I get it.
I know. I'm in a low point right now. Nothing's worth it, man. And I don't know how serious I am about making this decision, but help me from not walking to the back of my firehouse right now and not wanting to get into my journal with those thoughts.
That's a challenging conversation to have.
Yeah.
I get it. I know the feelings.
Yeah.
And even now, remembering those feelings,
yeah,
it means a lot. I get the feeling of it, but you have to grab onto something. For me, I knew from the beginning, you guys have been talking about your kids so much and family. I knew from the beginning, from a very early stage of my life, I wanted to be a husband and a father.
Yeah.
And that deep, dark place that you end up in is when you're failing those things. I get that, but I had to reach out for help. I had to grab onto not myself, but somebody else, not just for help, but somebody else to pull me forward. There are other people that needed me, that I had committed to, and I was determined to be responsible for what I had committed to. I was determined to be courageous. I couldn't solve the problems I was in that moment, but I had to be courageous in that moment. And that guy, you in that moment, you have more in you. And your responsibility is, if you can't find it for yourself, find it for somebody else. Life, these conversations, talking to you this morning, Keith, this is what life is about. It's about relationship and connection and reaching out to other people, serving somebody beyond yourself.
It's interesting because this show changed my life.
Yeah.
I was struggling with my own imposter syndromes, my own challenges, and my own reasons why I exist. What the hell am I doing here? What value do I provide to the world? What value can I continue to provide to the world? And and I've achieved a few things. I bootstrapped the company, sold it for a couple bucks, and employed 500 people around the world. And I've from a professional side of things, I've accomplished significant success. I would like to say, I say that humbly as my humble Canadian self. But dude, I needed to create this live morning show to keep myself accountable, to prove to myself that I could do this day in and day out and day in and day out. And then you know what happens, right? People lean in like Adam Peters and yourself going, oh, there's somebody else that they're like me that struggles. I need somebody to wake up to in the morning. And then that's what starts happening, right? Is that, because when I get in front of the camera and the microphone, I know it comes up here every single day, 8 o'clock. There's no option for me to go to the back of the firehouse and write in the journal. I come here and have the conversation with guys like yourself who inspire me to keep going tomorrow. When Adam Peters comes on my show to inspire me to keep going to the next day. So I look at myself in many ways as the conduit of conversation. Just let me be the conduit, right? And learn from others like yourself to help others move forward and not walk to the back of the firehouse.
Like you were just talking about, I was thinking back to those times, and in those moments, remembering why you started the game, whatever game you're playing, whatever you thought your life was going to be.
Yes.
Remembering back to that, you just got lost for a moment. Things just got off track for a moment. You don't have to stay there. We're not fixed.
Yes.
That's the amazing part about us as human beings. We can adapt and change and grow. And there are people like Keith and communities like on LinkedIn, other men that are out there working to extend a hand and offer help and offer an opportunity. I know for me, I know the pain I experienced when my dad finally committed suicide. And I know what it felt like the first time he attempted. And that lost relationship that we didn't get to have as an adult. I never had an adult relationship with my dad. He was depressed my whole life. But when I was 15, he was an engineer. He went to the factory every day as an industrial engineer, put on the facade. We went to church. We attended spiritual community. We were part of the community, all those upstanding things. But behind the scenes, he was a sad guy. And I remember that pain that he left me with. And I was determined that was not going to be me.
You said that you used that term. He started when you were 15.
Right. Freshman year, softball or baseball practice, training for the city junior high freshman level championship baseball tournament. He didn't show up to pick me up. He wasn't there. I was standing in front of the school waiting. He had a car crash, car crash out in the country, head on into the telephone pole. We thought, I'm 15 years old. I don't know what I'm thinking. Not much. And just assuming it's just an accident. Little did I know that would set off years of watching him deteriorate and struggle and be challenged and the family fall apart. And it just exacerbated all the stuff that they'd pushed away. But I admire him because he did what he could do in the situation he was in. We have so many opportunities like these conversations. He didn't have that. This conversation is because of the challenge. What can we do? What can he and I do to offer people hope in this conversation? That's the story. We get to choose the story we tell. More power. Words. You were talking about words with John earlier today, keeping your word to yourself. Tell a new story, man. Yeah. You can write a story. It's not fixed.
John talks about never let a good tragedy go to waste. Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say, and and some people would struggle with hearing that statement. Like, oh my God, I just had tragedy. I can't. What do you mean that never let it go to waste? Right. Well, I'm hearing you say that about your father. You recognize that while he was starting his journey out at 15, and you witnessed that, you recognize that when he did pass, that you needed to find a way not to let that tragedy go to waste. And I hear you honor him You talk about, I admire him. I never had an adult relationship with my father. You're leaning into memories where you purely had an enjoyment with him, and that's what you're using to admire and to teach others. Am I correct?
I'm using the fact that I respect his challenge.
Yeah.
I respect the world he was in. It's easy for us. The world's changing so fast and that's why it's critical right now that men develop themselves, that all of us, men and women, develop ourselves. We're all traveling, hurtling into a future that we don't know what it's going to be. And now is the time to control and develop yourself in a way that you are prepared. As a firefighter, what I learned to do is be prepared. And so at that time, he didn't have the resources, the availability of these conversations on a regular basis. He didn't have that stuff. Back then it's buying an album or maybe a cassette tape, these kinds of conversations, and mental health and emotions and feelings, not part of the world, not part of the conversation. And we forget that.
Yeah.
They did the best they could. All of our parents, no matter who raised us, the situation, no matter how terrible it was in, I refuse to allow any tragedy to not be something that in some way serves me or serves somebody else.
Speaking of serving somebody else, we're going to pivot our conversation, Mr. Landis. We're going to keep going here. One of the things that we asked you to give us for part of our community corner segment is a light to shine on somebody on the platform.
Right.
During our creator spotlight. And I'm not going to ask you to give me the name right now yet, but I got somebody here who is all about action. Ask me what action means. And there's somebody we're going to talk about here. So, but without mentioning this person's name, give me a minute or less or so about why we are going to celebrate this human being for today's creator spotlight, but you can't say his name.
Okay. I'm another human being that I met on LinkedIn, through LinkedIn. And I met him through another group of men who are working to do this same thing, to have these conversations.
I love this.
Supporting and encouraging and challenging each other. We're dismissing this, the stories that we were handed about life, about who we are as adults, human beings, getting past all that BS to actually challenging ourselves, to be accountable. Earlier, you guys were talking about keeping your word. John was talking about integrity.
Yeah.
Keeping your word to yourself. And part of that, like we're saying, you show up here to keep your word to yourself and your community that you committed to show up here. This human being does that, and not just does it, it's not just words, puts his actions behind his words. He stands up, he holds the space, he leads, he accepts challenges that he has and failures that he's experienced, and he is moving forward. He is creating something out of, just like we were talking about me and my dad, his challenges in his life. He's stepping forward to build and develop himself so that he can show up and build a healthy family that is present in the world to make a difference and to do important things, to do that is purpose. That's meaning. Developing himself, accepting who he is and the challenges he's faced, and moving forward to build other people, to serve his family and to serve his community, and to serve other people that need him to hold that ground and be powerful in who he is and how he thinks.
I love it. So today, with David Landis, Keith Billis, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, for our community corner segment, the Creator Spotlight, the segment of our show where we take the big old hairy Mornings in the Lab light and shine it on a human who's doing great work on the platform. And today we're celebrating somebody who helps individuals break free from limiting beliefs to unlock their full potential. Through personalized coaching, proven strategies, this fellow guides clients to achieve mindset, transformation, and lasting growth. He's from Clayton, North Carolina. You can work one-on-one with him with limitless coaching. You can ask him what action means. And there's the hook, my friend. This morning, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, along with my friend David Landis, wants to celebrate you, Mr. Cornelius Kirk. Yes! All right, Cornelius, we're bringing you up here, brother. Here's how this works. So we David says, hey, Cornelius is doing great work. We want to celebrate him. So we're going to take a minute here to talk a little about Cornelius' action. I invite you to check out his LinkedIn profile. He provides live coaching, video editing, video production, public speaking services, but he is all about helping you break free from limiting beliefs, period. So if you're standing in your own mirror feeling you can't achieve what's next, I suspect Cornelius Kirk is going to put some action into place and convince you that you can achieve what you didn't think is possible. And hey, David, like I like to ask a lot of people, what if you did succeed? And I suspect that's the question that Cornelius Kirk asks his folks from time to time is, oh, you don't think you can do it because you have a limiting belief? Well, what if you could do it? So Cornelius, we are celebrating you here today with our friend David Landis, and we're checking out your posts here on the platform here. You can see Cornelius' stuff here. He's like, I have a passion for seeing men do the work to heal their inner child, creating safety within themselves. Because when men feel whole, they help build a stronger, healthier society. And what I loved about Cornelius's post is the ripple effect of better men is immeasurable. So wherever you are on the spectrum of feelings or not feelings, because you know what, I myself, I've met a lot of men who still struggle with expressing their feelings. If we can lean into them from time to time, that ripple effect on somebody else becomes completely immeasurable. So Cornelius Kirk, we want to have you here in the lab sometime to bring somebody in your orbit to celebrate on the Creator Spotlight with Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. There you are, Cornelius. There you are here today, my friend. Love having the celebration here. So that's awesome. I'm moved by our story, David. I'm moved by our conversation. I'm moved by your story, and I'm moved by introducing Cornelius to my network and to the lab here as well. So that's this. I'm telling you, man. I have so much gratitude for the folks who get to meet on this, and sometimes I'm just speechless because I get to meet humans like yourself with the stories you tell, and then now you're going to introduce me to Cornelius, and I can tell that I'm gonna go down a fun path with Cornelius as well. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Awesome. What do you got plans for the weekend, my friend?
Family, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that holiday season and that rush when you start the business calendar and the life calendar kind of are challenging each other, and intentionally setting aside time to spend time with family.
When you look at 2025, and you look at 2025 1 year from now, when we're meeting 1 year from now, hear my question clearly. What have you achieved in the last year, David Landis?
I've moved this mission forward. We, a community of people that are playing, I intentionally named my company Playing with Possible. We don't know what is possible. And until you understand that you are in a limitless unknown, nobody knows the limits. So between now and then, I will have been on 12 stages speaking and sharing this message. I will have made an additional 6 figures, and we are building business. We're building. Without money, there is no mission, and the mission is the #1 priority. And whoever you are out there, you don't know the limits to what is possible for you. We just don't. It's not trite. It's mundane. We just haven't learned how to use our words about ourselves and what could be possible.
Speaking of words impossible, can I invite you to reframe some words you just used?
Absolutely.
So I like to work with folks on a mindset of using words on what we've achieved. And when I asked you the question on what you've achieved a year from now, you kept using the word will, assuming that you're still going to. I've used this technique with colleagues in the past where I've done meetings with folks and playing the game of the calendar is actually right now, it's December 13th, 2025. And it's incredible when you choose your words really selectively, how it changes your mindset from what you have achieved instead of what you will achieve.
You're right.
So I say it with love and respect that I would invite you as you're communicating is with other men when you're leading, encourage us to think of what we have accomplished instead of what we will, because in my experience, and I know yours as well, David Landis, the hardest thing for us men and women and humans is execution. So if we can reframe and wire ourselves as if we've already executed it, and what does it feel like when we've executed it? So David, how has the last year of your been? How has the last year been since you were on with me on December 13th, 2024?
I'm glad you asked, Keith. It's been an amazing year. I have spoken on 12 stages. I have raised an additional $6K net in the revenue for the business, and the mission has moved forward. More people are embracing the unknown possibility within themselves. Thank you for the coaching, Coach.
I love that. I love that, brother. I love it. I love you having some fun with me, man. But it's funny because it's something so simple, but it's a mindset shift, right?
It's 100% that. And I thank you for calling me out on it. I fall back into it. What I talk about is creating memories of the future.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yes.
We have your mind. We're living. It's this esoteric sound woo-woo BS. Yeah. We're living in this moment, but it's an eternal now. It's always now. Yes. Your mind is always looking for information to use now, and it's either referencing the past or it's referencing a future. Neither one of them exist anymore.
Yes.
There's only now. So if you're not creating a memory for it to draw on, it has nothing to work with. So it'll default to the past, like we all know.
Well,
you just said, create a memory of the future and the words to go with it.
That's it. Adam Peters, you're right. David Landis is the man. I agree. I'm thoroughly enjoying this chat with him. I haven't even said goodbye yet, which we're going to do here in a quick minute. But I will tell you, what I have learned as I've aged in life is that I know how time feels, like you do, right? You can reflect what September's feel like and what holiday feels like. And that's why I like to use the mind trick of, how has the last year gone? Because I can reflect on those feelings along the way so that in 1 year from now, I know how I want to feel and work towards that feeling, right? So David Landis, you come back and hang out with me again sometime. Will you do that?
Absolutely. 100%. This is really cool. I love this conversation. This is important work. Keep tuning back into this conversation, guys.
Appreciate that, David. I appreciate that. We're trying to do some fun things here. We're trying to take a little bit of Men's Health, a little bit of Men's Journal, some magazines and publications that I grew up with, mix in a little bit of FM radio, Howard Stern, controversial, fun, provocative content, and invite awesome human beings with inspiring stories like yours, Brian Clayton's, and all the Adam Peters around the world coming into our lab and telling great stories to help us get up, not hit the snooze button, and help achieve those big, audacious goals. That's what we do here. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. Producer Jimmy, let's rock and roll. Let's go to work. We're going to walk up Mr. Landis. Nation, we'll see you guys on Monday, 8 o'clock. We're back. You know where to find us. The only morning show to help you guys get your ass out of bed, not hit the snooze button. Hey, if you hit the snooze button 7 times in a week, you're 63 minutes behind the guy who doesn't. You want to be that guy? No, you don't. Let's get out of here, Jimmy. Let's get out of here, Tommy. Let's get out of here, David. We'll see you guys tomorrow. No, see you Monday.